but just last week you had the Prime Minister Narendra Modi saying that startups of India today will be the MNCs of the future. And many believe that India is set for the biggest digital revolution that has only been accelerated by the pandemic. One of those people is Haresh Chawla-Partner, True North, who's joining us today. But before we head into that conversation, let's listen in to what the Prime Minister, PM Modi, had to say about startups in India.
बाहर बने मल्टीनेशनल्स बड़ी संख्या में आए और इसी धरती पर आगे भी बढ़े। ये दशक और ये सदी भारत में नए नए मल्टीनेशनल के निर्माण का है। भारत का सामर्थ्य दुनिया में छा जाए, इसके लिए ये उत्तम कालखंड आया है। आज के स्टार्टअप्स भी कल के मल्टीनेशनल्स हैं और ये स्टार्टअप्स ज्यादातर किन शहरों में बन रहे हैं, जिन्हें हम आमतौर की भाषा में टियर 2, टियर 3 सिटीज कहते हैं। आज स्टार्टअप्स का उभार उन जगह पे देखने को मिलता है। इन स्टार्टअप्स को भारतीय युवाओं की नई कंपनियों को और आगे बढ़ने के लिए उसके लिए बेहतरीन मैनेजर्स चाहिए। देश के नए क्षेत्रों में नए अनुभव लेकर निकल रहे मैनेजमेंट एक्सपर्ट्स भारत की कंपनियों को नई ऊंचाई देने में बड़ी भूमिका निभाएंगे। साथियों, मैं कहीं पढ़ रहा था कि इस साल कोविड संकट के बावजूद भारत ने पिछले सालों की तुलना में ज्यादा यूनिकॉर्न दिए हैं। आज खेती से लेकर स्पेस सेक्टर तक जो अभूतपूर्व रिफॉर्म्स किए जा रहे हैं, उनमें स्टार्टअप्स के लिए स्कोप लगातार बढ़ रहा है।
All right, so let's take this conversation forward. Haresh Chawla, partner True North, joins in. Haresh, thanks much for taking time out. A real stamp of approval, if you will, from the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, saying that the Indian startups today are MNCs of tomorrow that can go a long way for achieving the goal of Atmanirbhar Bharat. How are you reading into this statement? Because we have seen a number of entrepreneurs as well alluding to the same, but the Prime Minister now talking about how the next decade belonging to Indian MNCs.
No, I think all the PM and all the startup entrepreneurs you're referring to are absolutely correct. I think what we have seen over the last 1 year is that clearly India's digital, let's say, wealth of talent that we have now has the whole world at its playground. COVID has fundamentally altered the shape of the globe as far as it comes to running businesses. And whatever demand was there to do digital transformation over the next 5 years, over 7-year horizons, has all been compressed. And India is in a unique place. And a unique place, why? Because if you look at what's happening to the internet, I mean, clearly we're seeing China, there are two internets arising. There is the open internet, in which the US, Europe, and India are part of, where we have which is our playground as well. And there is a Chinese internet that's building up. So clearly, the open internet opens up immense possibilities for us. The second advantage we have is that we are currently the largest mobile-first economy in the world on the internet. And therefore, the development capability and the fact that we have such a great local testing ground for apps and for the technologies that we deploy, they can be used all over the world. So if you combine these two things, that the fact that we can export our digital talent or our digital capability, even if we don't need to send out talent anymore, but our digital capability, you see our SaaS companies being accepted all over the world. And they've seen massive growth in business during the times of COVID. We have a great local mobile first market. We have a lot of venture capital available in India which has now seen the fact that Indian companies can grow dramatically. They've seen the shift COVID has brought. So I think even more venture capital come in. If you put in all these factors together, you have a fantastic heady story, which is great for India locally, because I think it will transform our economy, and it's great for startups and the impact we'll have on the world. Absolutely. I think Make in India probably should now move to Code in India.
Right. So, what do you think then of a number of startups as well that have mostly come from the tier 2 and 3 cities in the country? Because, the Prime Minister also said that they do need professional managers. The youth need to be more prepared for opportunities that lie ahead. What do you think is lacking?
What's really happening is now we've got a massive mobile internet user base, which has started transacting during COVID. Prior to COVID, they were likely using the smartphone as a substitute for television. They were consuming content from it. But I think what's happened over the last 6 months or 8 months is that these people had willy-nilly been forced to use the internet, to use apps, to use their devices to transact and build trust and build familiarity. Now, clearly, there is a huge gap in services that are available for tier 1 customers and in tier 2, tier 3. And that is being filled now because entrepreneurs are now seeing that these people are now available. They're happy to transact over the internet. They're happy to spend money over the internet. So that's opened up a massive opportunity. And we'll find that these NBU, as Google calls it, the next billion user apps, will actually fill some of the gaps we've had fundamentally in economy. There is a whole skill gap that I think these startups will start looking at filling. There is a massive opportunity opening up in applying technology on the agri space. We'll see micro lending, micro subscription. Again, ed tech. I think we'll see disruption in the form of very low cost ed tech, vocational skill training. So suddenly we'll find that both the startups will of course benefit by having access to these transacting consumers. But equally, I think there is this gap between the have and have nots in India. In some sense, that will get bridged because the same quality of technology will be made available across the country. And already we are seeing India Stack do a wonderful jobs. When it started, back in 2014, 2015, I don't think we could have arrived at the state we have today without having this whole COVID lockdown happen. That's clearly accelerated the consumption of the India Stack. We're seeing how UPI really has converted every bank into a wallet, in a sense. So your money is accessible, payments have become frictionless. So this whole ecosystem is like, somehow, the stars have all aligned. We have the talent, we have the technology, we have the funding, we have the need, we have transacting consumers, all of that coming together to really rewrite India's future story.
Right. And, given that technology management is going to be a very crucial step and very important component as well going forward, we've seen a lot of companies as well really leverage and pivot and take advantage of the technology and the digital revolution that's playing out. What's the road ahead when it comes to this vertical and this dynamic? Does every company just need to have a very solid tech infrastructure?
Yes, exactly. So what's really happened is that a lot of physical interaction is really getting replaced with digital interaction. And therefore, if your digital avatar of your business is not well run or is not well set up on the internet, you will essentially lose customers because they won't be able to find you. So a lot of search, and we have Google's report and some other reports coming out, that a lot of searches, a lot of discovery is happening over the internet first, over the mobile first. And now if your company is not set up to really handle the consumer journey on a digital platform, and there are multiple touch points, people, suddenly expectations from every company will be the same quality of expectation you have from Amazon or from Swiggy, for example. So every company will have to willy-nilly move up their digital quotient and meet expectations of the consumers, which are being set by pure tech companies. So I don't think there is any, they have leveled the playing field. All companies have either to make it to that level or end up losing market share. And we'll see that happen over the next few years. Companies that are not in a position to really move up on their digital quotient will start losing massively, despite whatever legacy they have whatever cash flows they have, they will have to make sure that they meet expectation of customers where they are and where they're being set. They're being set with massively powerful smartphones, fantastic sensors, great pure tech companies like Amazon, Swiggy. So the expectation setting is going to define the market now.
And I just wanted to get in a view then, Haresh, as to what the outlook is, as to how you've seen, startups within this COVID or the pandemic phase. Yes, we've seen a number of them completely shut shop, wind up operations, but then at the same time, we've seen more unicorns than we have in previous years as well. So what do you make of that dynamic, that huge pivot that we've seen that has enabled this opportunity to create as many unicorns in India as we have during this very rough period?
Yeah, so the way to look at it is that you don't apply the lens of the industry on the startup, but look at the lens of the consumer. Consumers en masse have had a whole reset in their lifetime during COVID. And there were startups that could actually move fast enough and serve them. And there were those who couldn't serve them or didn't have the funding to be able to pivot in this stage. So when you apply the lens of the consumer, life becomes very clear. Consumers want everything that can be delivered should be delivered. Everything should be accessible digitally. I should be able to pay easily. I should have high certainty as to where something is, when it will get delivered. I should be able to see reviews. I should know who and what I'm transacting with. So all of those factors, when they come together, when you put a consumer lens, their demand and in fact, in my piece, I talk about the fact that we've become from a push-based digital economy, where we were funding discounts, where we were convincing customers to come online and transact. We've become a pull economy. Consumers now want companies to start serving them digitally. They want to be able to put a complaint online and get a ticket number right then and there. They want to be able to track their product. They want to be able to pay seamlessly. So therefore, that fundamental shift, when you put the lens on, that consumers are now actually ahead of firms in this market. In a sense, consumers want to be served in multiple languages in India. It was always the English internet first. Now, English probably is the 10th language that should be there on your app, not the first one. So when you see the consumer behavior that shifted and their demands, you'll start seeing the whole market at a different level. And then you'll see which startups are really going to have started becoming unicorns and which have unfortunately, because of a variety of reasons, not been able to really make the shift or had the funding or the runway to really serve customers.
Right. And Harsh, just to give us a sense as to, how you've looked at even the steps that have been taken from the government, the special focus to startups. There have been steps in order to, help and try promote innovation. There was a startup campaign, interaction with young entrepreneurs, as well as the kind of startup of funds that had been launched by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, the engagement with the global ecosystem, etc. Has enough been done, or do you think that a lot more is required?
See, I think in the case of technology businesses, as you said, I think government's job is to really make sure that there's a fair playing ground, that it's easy to set up a business, it should be easy to exit a business, it should be easy to fund a business. As long as they take care of these factors, the pull from both India and the world is so massive that companies will end up innovating. The opportunity is so large. So I think today the need is not for money. Money is available. I think between both Indian investors, foreign investors, in fact, a lot of founders who've made their millions and billions from in their previous companies, all that capital is available. The government needs to really focus on saying that here, make it comfortable for startups to operate. Make it easy to do a lot of things that take a lot of bandwidth away from startups in how they file. So I think that whole focus on removing the red tape, frankly, which was actually what happened when we had the IT majors like Infosys, TCS, and all these companies set up. The government stepped out of their way, actually. A similar things needs to happen now. We need to educate our staff in the bureaucracy and in politics to really understand how these companies are trying to build innovation and get out of their way.
Okay. And, is there any specific type of company or sector that you believe does have the potential to perhaps accelerate further than the rest? Would it be in ed tech? Would it be, companies that are food aggregators, those within the pharmaceutical sector, technology driven? Where do you see the most opportunity?
So I think you see opportunity at two levels. One is to serve Indian consumers, and all the sectors you talked about, there is massive demand. I mean, a massive demand for inexpensively priced technology, which can be used at a mass level. So you rather have 100 million users paying you 10 rupees versus having 10 million users paying 100 rupees. So I think that's the big opportunity, and that will actually cut across all the sectors. So agri-tech, ed-tech, health tech, pharmacy. There is suddenly, over the last 5 years, 500 million new mobile internet users have been added. They have not been consuming, and they're ready to consume. So that's one part of the opportunity. The other part of the opportunity is really Indians are now ready with space tech, deep tech, global SaaS solutions. I think that market to sit in India and code for the world and build products this time. I mean, we've seen how transformative our IT tech services companies were for our economy and our positioning in the world and in Silicon Valley. I think now we have the next half decade to really do product innovation and supply products to the world. And all we need is a few hits, and you'll find that whole ecosystem around it will develop. And we could become a hub of product creation, much like Silicon Valley or Israel is today.
All right. Thanks for chatting with us. It's been a pleasure having you on board, Haresh. Thanks so much for joining in and really decoding what Prime Minister Modi had to say regarding the digital revolution and the future of startups in the country. For now, we take a quick break right here on the show. Stay with us. We talk about the manufacturing stops for wearables with Vishal Gondal, founder and CEO of Goki, when we're right back after this short break.